Hi, folks. Larry Winget here, the pit bull of personal development and 6 times New York Times, Wall Street Journal best-selling author. Today, I have with me Kristina Coyne, who's going to talk to us about how she works with businesses in order to help them improve. Kristina, welcome.
Hi, Larry. How are you?
I'm good. Tell us about what you do for a living.
So I work with established business owners. They're subject matter experts in what they do. They've started off individually and they've grown their business organically, bringing on one person here, one person there. And they've really now got to the point where they've got a number of staff and life is just really hard because they've grown it organically and they want to become industry leaders. They are absolutely determined that that's where they want to be in their business, but they actually know that they can't get there from how their business is currently operating. So I help them come in and get all of that underlying infrastructure set up so that they can, serve way more customers, but without increasing their staffing levels so that their profit really increases and their customer satisfaction increases as well. It also reduces staff turnover because people are happy with what they're doing.
We have such growth going on in many industries right now. And, I know everybody's talking about the economy and the pandemic and all the bad things that happen. Yeah. My experience saying there are a lot of businesses who are doing extremely well and grew really fast during all of this. And they are so busy, so successful that they've kind of lost control and the business is running them. They are not running the business. Yeah. That's kind of like the perfect person for you, isn't it?
Absolutely. So I work a lot with construction and trade industries. And the work for them has been really great through the pandemic. So many people working from home and going, actually, our house doesn't support what we need to do to be able to work from home. So they get these, tradespeople in to, put on the extensions and, make the house look better and work better for them. And so, construction industries, they've been having a great time. But, with all of that work going on, it's, a lot harder for the business owners to keep control of where things are at. And, I don't know about in the US, but certainly in Australia, we've had a lot of supply chain disruptions. So, getting the building materials is more and more difficult, and being on top of that can be really challenging. If you don't have, and it's totally unsexy, but if you don't have good records and a really clear understanding of where everything is up to, it can be really hard to manage. You're constantly on the phone chasing things up or answering questions from customers of things that actually, if you provided that information to them up front, they wouldn't have to call you. And, if your staff could see where things are up to, they wouldn't have to call you. So you'd be able to get a lot more done.
You need to work with my roofer. I call him every day going, where are we? Where are we? He doesn't know either.
Yeah, that's it. And customers get really annoyed with that. They want your service. They are desperate for what you offer. But if you're not communicating with them and keeping them informed and, making them feel that you're on top of things, then they get really nervous and they can actually start looking around for someone else. You don't want that.
I think that is absolutely essential, and what a lot of very successful businesses who have become successful really as a result of what's going on are going to be sadly aware of as we move forward, is that they're going to go, I've been so busy and so successful, but now that, what goes up must come down. Yeah. And when it comes down a little bit, they're going to look around and say, I wasn't really all that good. I was just lucky. And because of the economy and because of things, they were very lucky. And now things have changed and they really don't have the successful business that they thought they did. They just had a lot of customers and a lot of demand.
Yes. And it's the ones who can, keep things working really well for their customers that will continue to rise to the top of the heap and, you know,
So
get the work.
you said earlier two words, their underlying infrastructure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you do to work with people. Tell folks what you mean by that.
Okay, so when you're doing a renovation, yes, absolutely, you look at the rooms and what the rooms are going to look like. But that's the, you know, that's the icing on the cake. That's the outside. For the renovation to actually be successful, you have to connect your power to the right things. You have to get your gas, your water, your sewerage connected. You need to know where all of those pipes and things are going, that they're connected to the right place, because you have blockages in those. You do not want blockages in your sewerage, okay? So what I do is I actually look at all the workflows. You know, people know that they need to do marketing, they know that they need to do sales, they know they need to do delivery, and they know that they need to get paid, okay? They're absolutely fundamental things for your business. You know, they're sort of like your electricity, gas, water, sewage. I actually look at how all of those are connected, how the work flows and the data flows from your marketing through to your sales, so that when you have a customer, you have all of this information from them already. You don't need to ask them again. And then that flows through to your delivery people. And then we look at all your supply chains and how you're communicating with them and where all of that information is. It's all of that underlying infrastructure. You know, we are so lucky these days that we can use computer systems to actually make our life so much easier. If you think you were living, you know, even 50 years ago today, you would have to use paper for all of that. We don't have to do that. But, you know, people think, oh, computer systems, they're either really hard or I don't know how to set them up, so I don't use them. But they can make your life so much easier, but you have to know what you're doing with them and you have to set them up right. That's what I do.
So you work with technology within someone's business to make sure that the right hand knows what the left hand is doing.
Yeah.
And that the customer stays informed, to build confidence with the customer relationship, as well as interdepartmental relationships within your business, which affects productivity. Have I kind of summed that up?
Absolutely. But it's not just technology. There's actually a triangle. There are 3 points on it. Technology is only one. People,
Okay.
process, and technology are the 3 things. And that's what I look at, because the technology has to be used by people and it has to be used as part of the process. You need to understand when you're using it, why you're using it, and who is using it and what they're using it for. So yeah, it's the 3 things: people, process, and technology. Can't have one without the other.
I'm glad you made that distinction. So if people are listening to us talk right now and they go, I don't know if this would be right for me, how would they know? How would they know that their business is ready to pick up the phone and get in touch with you?
Because they don't have time to pick up the phone to get in touch with me. Yeah. Because if you're too busy to put good systems in place, you will always be too busy. So yeah, if you're too busy, that's when you need to call me. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't expect you to say that. And I love the fact that you said that. If you're too busy to call, that's how you know you need to call.
Yeah, really.
And there's so many people out there who use the fact that they are busy as a badge of honor and as an excuse for not doing more. And when you're too busy, I think it's a warning sign. And that's what you're saying here.
Absolutely.
Being too busy is a warning sign.
Yeah, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. You can do that for a certain period of time, but what happens is you get burned out. You know, I was talking to someone the other day and he was saying that in fact, more businesses die by suicide than by homicide, in terms of it's the internal structures of the system, of the of the business that causes the business to collapse. It's not necessarily external factors, it's the internal way the business operates.
You know, I agree that burnout is one, but what immediately came to my mind was you also get sloppy. If you're so
Yes.
busy all the time, you start letting little things slide, thinking those little things don't matter. And yet that might have been the very reason that your customer came to you to begin with, because you took care of the little things.
Absolutely.
And so you've gotten sloppy along the way.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct, Larry. And, you know, often what falls apart is, you said your roofer's not calling you and telling you where things are up to. Well, because he's so busy doing everything else, that he doesn't have time to do that, you know, because yeah, it is important to make sure that you've got your supplies ready for your roofing job, but you also need to keep your customer informed. And that tends to be, you know, a time-consuming thing. So yeah.
Wow. So when you work with people, what does that really look like? Just give us a little snapshot of what it looks like.
Sure. So I come in and I talk to the business owner, but I don't just talk to the business owner. Ideally, I want, you know, the main other decision makers. So often it is your admin staff together. And we actually draw out, you know, because people respond much more to pictures than they do to words. I don't know about you, but I hate reading a lot of words. If you give me a procedure, it's like, oh, really? But if we draw it out, we actually map it out so that everyone can see. And what happens is I get a whole lot of comments of, oh, is that how it works? Is that where my bit fits with everything else? Because businesses often operate in silos. Your marketing people don't necessarily talk to your salespeople. They don't necessarily talk to your delivery people. And your accounts people are just all at the end, and they have no idea what's going on until someone says, can you pay this, or can you invoice this person? Whereas if we look at it and map it all out, you get all of these aha moments of, oh my goodness, why are we doing this here? Because it doesn't make sense there. Or we're doing this in this situation. Actually, that's causing us way more work than it needs to cause. So let's change that. And, you know, by having everyone involved in that conversation, business owners are intelligent. They wouldn't have got to the point where they are if they didn't, you know, have a clue about stuff. And, you know, hopefully that they've employed people who are decent. And you can get so much benefit by involving everyone in the process of actually understanding what goes on throughout the business. Because yeah, that, you know, people who have issues in a particular area will then realize where those issues are coming from and have ideas for how to solve them. You know, I don't come in and solve all your problems. You actually solve your problems. I just make them visible so that you can actually see them and have a structure to talk about them with and solve them within that.
I like what you just said right there, that you don't solve the problem, even though you do offer solutions.
Yeah.
But most people are unaware they even have a problem. So you exposing the problem to them and making them aware of it, and then walking them through how it happened and what they can do to fix it. I mean, that's pretty much what they most need, isn't it?
It is. It absolutely is. And, you know, what I find is just even that process of mapping things out, and this is the process part, Larry, that I was talking about. This is where they get amazing benefits. We haven't gone anywhere near technology yet. This is just their process, you know, when they make decisions about stuff. You know, one organization I was working with, they were a bathroom renovation company, and they had an in-house design person, and I was trying to talk about to get them to identify exactly what what their decision point is of when they do a pre-design with the client before doing the full design. You know, is it when the value is over a certain amount, or because the customer was going to be very particular? They actually couldn't identify what the trigger was for doing that. Now, that decision entails quite a bit of work for their designer. So for them to be able to really limit exactly when their designer need to be involved, reduced a lot of work on the designer, but it actually didn't impact their customer delivery. Does that make sense?
So that's what you do, is work with people to understand that process that they're going through right now, that's costing them both time, energy, as well as money.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, they over the weeks that I was working with them started tweaking that, and they went, actually, no, we're only going to do it here. And then they went, actually, no, we really only need to do it here. So they actually saved an incredible amount of time and aggro for their designer, who was just feeling so overworked. And they made it really clear to everyone, these are the parameters, this is when it happens. You know, life became so much easier for them after they'd done that.
And I bet that designer became your biggest proponent. Thought you were a hero.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me something. People are listening to us and they're looking at their business and they're thinking about where they are right now, and they're thinking they might need to talk to you. How would they know they need to talk to you? Because they're too busy. I get that. Yeah. So now they've thought about that and they're going, I need to do something today. I'm going to call her. I'll get in touch, but I need to do something today. Give the people who are watching us and listening to us right now, give them something they can do right now.
They can get their team together and have a quick brainstorm of what are their main issues. And then they can work on together, because you don't want this to be just the business owner, because when it's only you, you've only got your way of thinking. When you get your team together, they're also the ones intimately involved in the problems. And I can almost guarantee they will have ideas for how to fix things. Get them involved and, you know, have a look at what your top 3 issues are and brainstorm ideas within your team of how you can fix that.
Imagine having a conversation to figure out what's wrong and what you might want to do about it. And yet so many people just ignore the idea of stopping, involving people and having a conversation. I think that's great advice. Yeah,
yeah. And look, you don't need to call me to do that. However, I can make it, those conversations, easier to have, because often when there's a third party involved, I'm not involved in your business. So I have no vested interest in a particular solution or not. You guys drive it, but it's a very open and constructive environment for people to be able to throw out suggestions and for them to be able to air their problems. So again, another business that I was talking with, one of their staff was just having real issues keeping on top of their email inbox. And, you know, because they were using one of the common email inboxes. Someone else who didn't work in that area said, oh, actually, we can, you know, set up a rule so that you can only see the things that you need to see. And it was like, oh my goodness, that solved this problem from someone who knew something that you didn't within your business. That wasn't my solution. It was the team member's solution.
There you go.
By getting them involved and getting those different perspectives, you can come up with solutions to problems that, you know, people don't necessarily express.
I think most businesses need an outsider. And that's what you're talking about, being an outsider who has no vested interest except you want them to do well. And
Yeah.
that's what you're hired to do, is to help them do better. I think that's a great idea. Now, listen, you've given folks a lot to think about and a lot of reasons to pick up the phone and call you and to contact you and to talk to you about what they're going through. Hopefully they'll decide they're busy, but they're not too busy to pick up the phone and call. I've had a great time, Kristina. Thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you, Larry. It's been fabulous. Really appreciate it.